Well, I don't know what to share. Well, what do you want to learn? Go learn it and share it. It's not necessarily about being the first to deliver something new and break news. It's about being the first to that person for them to understand what you're sharing from your context.
Welcome back to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I've got the wonderful Matt Pinelli with me today, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to dive into a great topic about being the first to give information. Better be the right information, but be the first to give information. So we're going to dig down through all these elements of it, share some time with you. And Matt, good morning, sir. Happy to have you with me today.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here as always, Garrett. I love doing these things with you, as you know, and I love hearing from our listeners too, Garrett. I just want to say, I had a couple of messages back and forth with some people who listen to the podcast, and actually had the pleasure of getting on a couple of calls with some people that was unrelated to the podcast, but they brought it up, and it was just so cool to hear people talking about it, and because it's still kind of like this little dream, almost of like, wow, there's people out there that listen to us, and which I'm so excited about. And so one thing I would love for you all to do, because you guys are amazing, is share it out to your people who you think would find value out of this, because as we kind of build this new podcast, we want as many people to find it as possible so we can reach out with these awesome episodes and help people grow, and also collect more feedback so that we can tune our content to what helps you guys kick some serious butt out there and accomplish your goals and dreams and live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose, as we like to say. So pumped about it, Garrett. I'm excited to dive into this topic too. It's a good one.
Yeah, no, we watched this, and it's funny coming off. We just recently did an episode. I don't think these are back to back, but we recently did an episode about sales meetings and operating sales meetings and being a leader in your office and the opportunities that are there. And a lot of this comes down to the ability of giving information, giving quality information, good information that the people around you go, that's the person that's got the answers. And we all have them in our life, Matt. You have people that you turn to for answers, whether it's about your car, whether it's about, health and fitness, or we have books we refer to. Tim Ferriss, for me, is like a huge person I turn to when it comes to time management and conquering the elements of your day. I look at like Ryan Holiday, and I look at like leading your best life and, stoicism and things like that. And he's somebody that I always will turn to, and I go, okay, that's the guy who's got the answers for me. What's kind of going on there? We want to be the givers of information when it comes to stock markets and other stuff. We have people we turn to or things we listen to because we're like, I know they're going to give me the information first that I need to be able to make these great decisions. And sometimes we don't take it upon ourselves. And that's what I want to dive into today with you, Matt, is sometimes like we don't look at ourselves as, can we be the givers of information in our chosen field? And like the opportunity's right there.
It's there every single day, every moment. And I'm not saying you should every single moment of every day thinking about, how do I get information to my people first before this next guy? Because it's not even always about being first, quote unquote, with info. It's bringing your voice to information to give context that people can connect with. In fact, it's funny, I was listening to several different podcasts this week, and it just so happened that on each and every podcast, there was the same information shared with a little bit of a different spin. So I was listening to Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell, and Andy Frisella, and all of them happened to talk about patience in their own way, being patient on the results, but being impatient or aggressive or focused or intent, whatever word they chose to use, on the action. So being impatient on action and being patient on the results, they all had the same exact advice given in a different way. And they all have massive audiences. And because I think something that holds some people back from sharing information, Garrett, is, well, but somebody else is already going to share that, or they're going to go find that somewhere else. That's totally fine. What you're looking to do is develop your voice with the information that you share so that people can recognize you, connect with you, and then they'll do business with you later on. And now there is some timeliness as well and some opportunities, particularly in a field that has to do with numbers like real estate or finances and things like that, where there are market moves, right? Yeah. Earlier this week at the time of recording this, mortgage rates hit a 1-year low. Well, that's an opportunity to share some information.
I just talked to somebody yesterday. They said it actually went into the 5s. Did I make that up? And for
in some places, it's possible. Yeah. Depending on the product. And that's exactly right. That's the question that you have. Hey, did this happen? Right. Well, instead of waiting for people to come with the question, did you send your weekly email or your monthly email or whatever it is, or call your buyers or whoever might be in that pocket of very, very close interest and share, hey, by the way, I want to share with some news with you.
Yeah.
And depending on your situation, let's connect with your lender, blah, 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 whatever it is, and get the full information for you. That's the opportunity with even something as little like that.
And Matt, I love your spin on it that you took and saying it's not just about being the first to give the information, but it's about putting your personal spin on it. The things that people look at you and listen to you as like, okay, this is my expert. You can give the same information, but then say, okay, and here's how I interpret it. Here's what my thoughts are about this. And all of a sudden it's become your own unique piece of information that's come out. If you don't put your own spin on it, if you're just sharing data, just sharing things, what happens is someone goes, oh yeah, I already know that. And it's over. Like your thing that you share every time, and every single time they get it, they go, yep, already knew that. Yep, already heard that over here. At a certain point, they don't tune into you anymore because it's like, yeah, I know, I got it. The market changed. We heard about that last week. I got it through so and so. I got it through here. Those are my experts over here. The minute, and this is what I like what you said about it, the minute you put your own spin on it, your own interpretation of it, you bring in your opinion of it, all of a sudden now it is your idea you've got attached to it, and it is unique. And as you mentioned, 3 people, and you ended up saying each one of them, same topic, but their own spin got me to see it from a different angle and their different approach to it. That's valuable from all of those people.
Not only that, in that situation, it was also reaffirming like, hey, these 3 guys, they're all quite successful in what they do, all have the same idea on this topic. It's also reaffirming. So even you just sharing information could be like, I did hear that. And now that Garrett's telling me it, I believe and trust in that even more.
Yeah.
Because now I have more validation and I appreciate Garrett sharing that with me. So I now have that validation. And there is, no matter what your industry is, but particularly too in real estate, there is so much that we can share, so much value that we can interpret. And and it's not like you have to, and when people are saying, I don't know what to share, I don't know what to say in an email, I totally get it, but it is there right in front of you. If you would just open up the opportunity and recognize, hey, I can be the source. I can be the one who shares this information, whether it's first or the first to give them a different interpretation. I can bring this level of value first to them because it's coming from me, which is going to create a different connection with those people in my database.
I think interest rates right now, we just want to take a simple topic, one that we can all, it's right in our face. We can gather information from it right now, today. And it's on every buyer's mind out there. Sellers, I don't think it's really on their mind right now. It may be on their buy side, but really for the most part, their mind is more focused on, how much can I get for my home right now in today's market? Somebody said it to me beautifully, which is, buyers had the reality check here a couple months back, actually many months back. They had the reality check of the market. Sellers haven't had the reality check yet. They're starting to have the reality check. A lot of you who are listing homes out there might be seeing people that are pricing the homes too high, not really being reasonable. They're starting to have the reality check right now of where the market sits. When you look at interest rates, because interest rates is what's causing the reality check for a lot of people, affordability, which goes back to interest rates, is causing this reality check. And there is information you can share weekly right now because it is a huge pain point for any buyer and going to be for sellers out there. What does this mean and how does this affect our buying and selling abilities? Be the giver of information. Here's my weekly update on what's kind of going on with interest rates right now. I went out and had lunch with a different lender today, and I learned about this and this and this and different products that are being offered out there. There have been all kinds of programs I have heard about whispered in the background that I would love to know more about if they're actually being offered. I'm not going out to lunches right now with lenders. I'm not picking their brain, but if that's in your industry, go do that. If you're in, we can apply all kinds of different industries into this of I'm dealing with HVAC people way more than I want to be dealing with HVAC people in the last 12 months. If you run an HVAC company and that's what your service is, and you want to provide some value in your social media platforms and the mailers that you put out, there's great information there about the quality of different systems and different warranty packages that are offered and What are your service plans that you offer and why are those things valuable to people? Be the first ones to educate people about that. Home warranties. I have seen realtors that literally are like, I am so happy that my clients got a home warranty and I gave it to them because it saved them all this money. And then there's always the conversation of when you're spending all this money, you're like, the person comes in and goes, why didn't you have a home warranty? Like, because nobody told me about getting a home warranty. Like, I didn't realize how to do it and what to do it. Like, there's so much information to share to protect the consumers around us, protect the people that are around us. And sometimes we get this too complicated. It's like, no, be the first one. Try to be the first one to give information. And then, Matt, as you said, put your own spin and value on, and that's what makes it unique to you.
I think part of this too, why people hesitate on this is we're so focused on attracting the next client. We're like, well, how is that going to get me a piece of business? How is that going to do this? And I'm going to use your HVAC as an example.
Super fun, by the way.
Yeah, super fun, super exciting topic. I know I follow like every single HVAC company out there because that's all I want to know on my social media feed is how air conditioning units work, right? Obviously, I'm being sarcastic and I don't mean anything, no pain points to the HVAC people out there listening, because I think there's also opportunity to share some things that could be interesting that would get somebody to follow. I do follow my friend who owns an HVAC company here in Charleston. And when he posts from his company, he posts like cool stuff, like him swinging a freaking HVAC all like over a busy road onto the top of a building that he's doing an install on. I was like, cool. I didn't know you did installs like that. Right. Spent 5 seconds watching that video. And now I'm like, he does big stuff. Right. And then there might be another post where he's doing something small. I'm like, oh, he also does little stuff. It just reminds me this is what he does and he's an expert of it. Also, I think we get so focused on the audience that it's like your audience on different platforms might be different than what your customer might be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to share information that might be attractive to another audience that can get to a customer down the line. Realtors, as an example, look at your followers. Most of them are other realtors,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people are like, oh, but I want my customers to follow me. No, that's okay. You can share information with other realtors, which gets them thinking about you. And maybe they ask you for advice. And next thing you know, you're starting a team and you're bringing in these people who, have been following you and wanted to support you, or, it just helps you increase your presence, which then your customer sees, oh my gosh, look at all these other realtors that are looking to Garrett for advice. And it's about educating people so that they can see you as the expert more so than trying to get the customer, because this is top of, your kind of program here, right? We'll get to the questions. That's why we want to have conversations. That's where we get to understand if people are looking to buy or sell a house or make a purchase or look for the service. The top stuff that we're sharing is I want to share a ton of value so that you guys think of me and I can make sure that you're totally educated. So I know I'm going on a little rant here, but I wanted to come back to one thing because I looked this up while you were talking, Garrett. If you wanted an easy way to share some information, you could just go to the St. Louis Fed data, just Google like St. Louis Fed 30-year mortgage rate, right? And you could just clip the chart from there and share it with your people. Be like, hey, by the way, this is like, if you were curious, like when headlines say lowest interest rate in the past year, you can see, okay, the last one they clocked off here was yesterday at 6.47. And I go all the way back to August of last year at this time, and it was 696, right? And it peaked all the way up to 797. Wow, or 779. Oh my gosh, that's really high. And you can just explain, here, look at this as the history, by the way. It just happened in 1 year, the 2-year history. And people are like, okay, that's interesting.
So to go right along those lines, you take something like the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA.gov, if anybody ever wants to go to it, they've got the house price indexes in there. I'm not even looking at them right now. But again, it's one of those things that I have watched these numbers every quarter since 2005 religiously. Like this is something I check in on, I look at, I track to see what are the top 5 states, the bottom 5 states, the top 5 metropolitan cities, the bottom 5 metropolitan cities. I always look to where Reading is because I'm always curious. But me being able to have that information and be able to talk with people in an educated way about these states and how they change position. And they're not always number one. Usually the ones that are the top that are rip roaring at some point here in the near future are going to be at the bottom. They just kind of flip back and forth. And then there's this wonderful group that sits in the middle that is just nice and kind of stable and I don't know. It seems when you live in California, I'm always at the one that's at the top or at the bottom. Top, bottom, top, bottom. We flip back and forth. Everybody freaks out. And then we're all like, yeah, we're in California. And then we freak out. So it's like you can talk in an educated way about these states, about these cities and what they're going through. And the reason that they're having this huge appreciation is because 5 years ago, they fell on their face and they're recovering right now. But you can be this giver of this information. If I was back in real estate right now, Matt, I would have a quarterly update I would do to all my clients of here's the shifts that have happened in the United States right now. Here's the states that used to be number one. Here's where they've shifted position to. Here's kind of why they've done that. If you track the data, if you look at it, we have so much great information to share. And to your point, which is it's not about having them go, oh, well, we should list our house right now. Like, this is great information. Like, I should just, it's that guy swinging the HVAC system over the top of the street. And you're like, I didn't realize he did that. I didn't realize, just, it's that little moment that just concretes you down into this place of like, oh, that's what this person does. They know real estate and markets and what's going on there. They also have a clear understanding of interest rates and what's happening over there. And for like my HVAC guys, I only think of them when I have a problem. Seriously, that is how they're in my head right now, is that I hired them to put a system in. And right now, every single time I have to look up their phone number, it's because I have a problem, not because they're giving me any valuable other stuff coming in. And I hate to say it, I'm starting to lose some faith. I'm starting to lose some energy. And by the way, they're the nicest people. And I'm not going to mention their company name right now. They are the nicest people when they come into my house. And I think with all the new regulations of California and the changes that we're having we're eliminating natural gas basically from my town. And so everybody's switching over to different systems and different things. We're all moving to electric around here. And they are learning new systems they've never had to deal with. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt of like, we're all learning here, guys. I understand this is not your normal stuff. But when the only time I have to call them, even when they're taking great care of me, is when I have a problem, we need to show up better for our people, give them valuable information, give them stuff that makes them go, okay, they are the experts in the industry. I guarantee you they've got way more to offer than just fixing problems when I got them.
And people will say, well, Garrett, but you called them when you had the problem. And isn't that, you know, the whole point of business is when there's a need, they're there and you remember them, right? And yes, I agree with that. However, staying in front of people will solidify that relationship so that, and let's say coming before this problem you had, you probably knew who you were going to call for this issue coming up. But let's say there were other HVAC companies that were in your world. You might call a different one if there was somebody else who was in your space.
Let's take that company and push them off to the side for a second. The reason that they got called is because they're number one in Google when you look them up. That's the reason they entered into my world. So if you were a company just below them and you're going, how can I figure out my place in this? How do I compete with this guy who's got all the great Yelps and all the great, Google reviews and all this stuff out here? How can I compete? Well, there's a place here to give information, to give value. This is every realtor out there who's standing there looking at the ones going, how will I ever be like them? Well, a lot of them are just plowing through deals that they have done for a long time and running through their business and showing up for their people. And they're really not giving a ton of maybe extra value out there because they're kind of in the mode of just doing business. This is your opportunity to say, how can I build my place in this world? Well, be the giver of information, be the ones that people can see. It's like, that's a source I didn't realize was here in Redding, California.
And you don't know how your information is going to be consumed and shared and what it's going to do for the ongoing presence of your business in somebody's world. Using my friend John's HVAC business as an example, my wife designs hotels, right? And so as she's starting to get, network better with developers and things here in Charleston, like I could see a point where she's talking to somebody and they're maybe renovating a hotel and she overhears a conversation about, yeah, maybe we need to upgrade the HVAC, and to be like, oh, hey, do you know John? Right? Because I know that he does commercial, right? She actually had the HVAC go out in her office, which is a co-working space, and turned out to be an electrical issue or whatnot. But initially I was like, well, do they have somebody, should John go over there and take a look at what's going on to see if they can get it fixed? She was out with like 2.5 weeks. No AC. Crazy. Anyway, these are the things that can happen with your brand as well,
Yep.
right? If you're providing information, it doesn't even matter if people aren't replying back to you, right? It doesn't matter if people are saying, "Oh, Garrett, thank you so much for this information. That's exactly what I was looking for on a Friday morning, was to open my email and see your commentary on mortgage rates. I was just praying that that was going to be there." No, it's not about that. It's about that you were there and you were providing value to something. And we just had Luca on, and we are going to have on the next episode Eric Simon on, and there's a funny little correlation between their
Oh,
conversations,
yeah.
which is the information that realtors are putting out is this unnecessary, non-valuable stuff of like, hey, change your clocks, right? And it's like, we can step it up a little bit more than that. And this gets into more than data too, Garrett. What about becoming, you know, the person who knows the things that are going on locally, and don't just assume that somebody else can go search for the best restaurants in town and stuff like that, because they can. But when they get an opinion from you on things that are relatable to your business as well, by the way, that's a good thing. And I think that, so this extends beyond even just market data.
Well, so too funny for a lot of people when I've coached them over the years in different marketplaces, I've done more of this where I'm like, let's run some properties in your marketplace. I want to see what the investment market looks like. And I have calculators and things that I can just plug numbers into and be like, oh, I can see the rate of return real quick, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, if I were to invest in that area. And, it's interesting. A lot of, real estate agents want to open up the doors. They want to open up the opportunity of the type of business, just like the HVAC system flying over on the commercial building. If all of a sudden I want to open up my realm of expertise to people, and if I were to talk to most realtors and say, hey, could you help me with investment property? What would they say, Matt?
Yeah.
They would say, yeah. They would say, yeah,
Sure.
of course I can help you with an investment property. But I had to ask, can you help me with an investment property? Because as far as I'm concerned, all I've seen you do is single family residence. Well, can you help me with a multi-unit? Can you help me with a commercial space down here? I have no idea if you can, but you haven't shown me what your expertise is and the information that you have to offer. So this is the opportunity. And when I start running these numbers for certain places, I mean, I have been flat out laid out mad by returns on investments in some areas. And then I end up usually buying properties in those areas when I'm like, whoa, 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 okay, we're done coaching. Like show me how we can make
Yeah.
this work.
We're going to flip the fee here.
Yeah, we're going to change things around a little bit for a second. But when you start to figure that stuff out, and any of you can figure it out, any of you can look at your markets and say, okay, let's do some research on the stuff that I am an expert in, that I want to do more of. And how can I help people see that I'm an expert by giving them valuable information? All that agent had to do was turn around and say, did you know that we have properties in our marketplace that I literally can make you a 40% return on your investment in the first year?
Yeah.
Like, would you like to know more about it? I'd be happy to go to lunch and talk to you about the opportunities. If you had a property that was returning 40% in the first year, would that be better than how your kid's college education fund is working for you right now, or would it be worse? Like, start opening up some conversations for people where they're like, do you even have a college education set up plan for your kids? Or are we just hoping that they decide not to go to
bonus.
school?
Yeah. They're going to get the scholarship. You're going to get that bonus. Oh man. Garrett, what you're highlighting too is that there's two things that are coming up for me here. One is, well, I don't know what to share. Well, what do you want to learn? Go learn it and share it, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of realtors out there don't know about investment properties. I know very little about investing in real estate personally, because that's my experience. It's very, very little. But I could see like, hey, if I wanted to start helping other people, let me learn myself first. And you could even have a little thing that like once a month, you're like, hey, every month I'm going to share a property that fits the 10% rule, where, you can get about 10% monthly rent of the purchase price of the property. So for example, if it's 300,000, it can rent for 3,000 a month, right? Which would be crazy, right? And like, cool. If you highlight one of those every month that actually exists, people are going to look at you as, hey, you can go find that stuff. And I want to shout out to Dennis Tuttle in Texas, because what he does, he runs classes inside his company very often, and he'll teach real estate investing. Most of the deals that he does and his team does are not investments. They're the typical buy and sell of people in their primary residence, but he teaches investing in real estate, and it helps improve his authority in the real estate industry in general, which is allowing him and his team to thrive, right? It's that sharing of information and him being, and this is coming back to your statement about being the first. It's not necessarily about being the first to deliver something new and break news. It's about being the first to that person for them to understand what you're sharing from your context,
Yes.
right?
Are we good?
Is that it? We're just gonna just hang it up right there.
You did a great job, Matt. That summed it up really good. I think again, there's a lot to think about this, and I think that I think as us as realtors, the majority of us listen to this podcast right now. A lot of us are realtors, but again, we have a lot of people from different industries that are listening to this also. And I want you to think about your own personal industry and the business that you're doing and what you can help people with and help people see what that is, show your value. As a real estate agent, there's so much great information out there at our fingertips that if you just take the time to understand it, and that's why I used FHFA. It's delivered up every single quarter with incredible numbers of the United States. Keeping Current Matters has great information out there. You start looking at that, and as you can help interpret it, I have a lot of agents right now that are tracking the odds of selling, inventory, and absorption rates for different price ranges in different areas of their city. And every single one of them who's doing it right now, who's been doing it for the past 4 months, has come to me going, I am so happy that you made me track these numbers, because currently right now, like, I am able to have an educated conversation with my people about what's going on. And the more educated you are, just like you were talking about investments, Matt, the more you go learn, the more you understand, the more valuable information you can share with people. So the opportunity is right in your hands, guys. And so often we sit back and we just go, well, I've got my license as a realtor, and I'm going to send out these postcards that kind of like have all this kind of like real estate stuff, but really not quite. But they're going to know I'm in the real estate industry. And we don't take that time to be that little bit more of that expert, that little bit more of that professional that makes people go, that's the person with the deep smarts. That's the one that knows what's going on. And it will change your business. And it'll, again, let people see you from a lot of different lights.
Be the one that is sharing the information, whatever that information may be.
Speaking of sharing, if anybody finds value in what we're talking about today, if anybody finds value who listens to this podcast, the number one thing you can do to help us right now and grow this Life at 10 Tenths world that we're building right now, share this information with the people that you know that might find value in this. Whether it's a fellow business owner outside the real estate industry, share away, please. It would mean the world to Matt and I. And we're excited to see this get out here and grow bigger than it is right now. And we appreciate every one of you as listeners. And Matt, I'll let you take it from here. Sorry, I jumped right in that pool.
No, not at all, man. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that message with our audience. And guys, if you want to join in on our community where we are, going even deeper on stuff like this, ideas like this, we have the opportunity to interact with you guys in our live coaching sessions. We have the opportunity to bring in guests like Matthew Ferrara and talk about strategies on how to acquire more listing appointments and things like that. And that all happens inside our 11 Circle community, which is the premium membership for Life at 10 Tenths. And you can learn about that at lifeat10tenths.com. It's very reasonable. We do even more than just those things that I mentioned in there. And so we would love for you to join us in there and experience that and be in a community with other people who are looking to grow and succeed, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to help you go through, whether you're just listening to this podcast, whether you're going to be in the 11th Circle or not. Our mission is to help you live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose, because that's what's going to help you look back at life and put a big smile on your face and be like, that was awesome. And that's what we want to be able to do too.
So it's in all levels too. So we mentioned lightly, but this month, and it will probably be wrapping up this challenge when this one goes live. We're doing a hydration challenge right now. And so Matt, I was looking this up last night, and I might actually create this for the community. And I'm thinking maybe we can sell it as a product. Ooh, but I was trying to think, okay, how can I drink more water? Because I mean, obviously I've got my water bottle. This goes with me absolutely everywhere. So my goal for the month is, or actually for the every day for the month, is to have 4 of these guys, which is 32 ounces of water each. But then I started to think about it. What if what if I had like a hamster bottle feeder with one of the little things with the little roller ball that I could mount on the side of my desk? That I had to do is just turn, and you can get a little bit of water, and then you just go right back. I mean, literally, we didn't even have to stop typing, Matt. So then I started looking up last night, getting our logo put on the side of these because I think there's a whole market here that is untouched.
I mean, it's like the beer hat, you know,
but way more usable because the beer hat you can't use while you're working, you can't use in your normal day.
And you got to carry it on your head.
There's something here, Matt. There's
You
an
could position
untouched.
these throughout the house too, right? You could have it hanging over the stove, so while you're cooking, you're just
You could make a little thing that like hang like a it wouldn't you could hook them on the side of your beer hat. All right, just an idea. I'd be curious to hear in the comments if anybody likes my idea. I started researching it last night, and I found that there are many different sizes because the mouse one, the little nozzle is too small. You got to get up to a hamster size. I think they make a rabbit one that's even bigger. Once you get up into like livestock,
well, they make these for like dogs too. We used to have one for our dog, like on their crate.
you could just run the hose in through the window and hook up to the.
So I haven't watched it.
All right, sorry, we've derailed everybody.
Well,
I appreciate.
We are going to find out who listens or watches this all the way to the end because I want to know. Like, you guys think this? I don't know, Garrett. I don't know if I'm going to put my money in on this one, but I want to know if everybody else is on board because
I already asked Sarah. I said, "How big can we get stickers made?" Because I got to cover up the pet paws on the actual.
Can we just get custom bottles made? Why are we going to put stickers?
Because we just need a proof of concept first, Matt. We need a proof of concept. You got to.
Well, I can't wait to see your gerbil bottle hanging out on the next podcast and us watching you take a little sip of water in between as we banter back and forth.
You won't see me. I'm just going to lean off to the side, and then I'll come back, and you won't even know.
You'll hear the little metal ball click.
Cling, 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 cling.
Oh man. Okay.
Appreciate it, everybody.
Guys, thanks for tuning in on another episode of how you can turn pet products into human consumption products.
Where you can only find at Life at 10 Tenths.
Have a good one, guys. We appreciate you. Have an amazing day.